Good morning. Today is Monday, the 20th day of Teves. Today is the yahrzeit of the Maimonides, the Rambam. And as the Alter Rebbe says, in the day of yahrzeit, everything what a person did, especially a tzaddik, through his lifetime affects, shines in this world. So, it says, Moshe ad Moshe leikam kaMoshe, from Moses until Moses, Maimonides. We didn't have a leader like Moshe. It means Moshe, the Rambam is connected with Moshe Rabbeinu, which is connected with Mashiach, which is the Redeemer. So may we have the redemption very, very soon. And we're learning in the Tanya today. We're finishing chapter 13 in Likutei Amarim Tanya. And we're middle of discussing about the Beinoni. And Alter Rebbe here brings a note about the true service of Hashem and the true love to Hashem. Hence the headline today, Truth and Ultimate Truth. Is your love a true love? So what are we talking about? We said earlier in the chapter that the Beinoni is that person that is full control of his thought, speech, and action, only doing the right thing, thinking and speaking the right thing, what Hashem wants. However, it's not that he has it in him naturally, meaning he does still have an inclination and a tendency to love material and physical things. And of course, there's different levels in the Beinoni. Some have it less and some have it more. However, during the davening, when you pray and he meditates about the greatness of Hashem, he does develop a feeling of love to Hashem. But this happens only during davening. Right after davening, he finishes praying, he takes off his talis and tefillin, and he's back to his physical human being, and it still there is still the possibility that the Yetzer Hara will come to him, and he will have a desire to material things. Of course, he doesn't act on those things, but he can have a desire. Now, so the question now is, during the davening, when he prays, we said he develops a feeling of love. Is that really a true love? So here we want to talk about what is true? What is the definition of truth? What is truth? You can say truth is when you're not lying, you're saying the truth. The Alter Rebbe says there is what's called the truth and there is the ultimate truth. Emes lametoi, the truest truth. Truth, ultimate truth, is something that is true, does not change. If a person truly loves, that will not change. What does that mean? It says anything that has a change, it's not considered truth. There's an example that is brought in the Mishnah regarding the water that we bring to the red heifer. We have to bring it from a living waters, Maim Chaim. And the Mishnah says that it has to come from a river which is not a lying river. It doesn't lie. A river that is a true river. What does it mean, a true river? And the definition is that the water doesn't stop, doesn't dry up. There the Mishnah talks about 7 years not drying up. But in any case, the point is, anything that is true, it does not change due to circumstances. If something changes, that means it's not really true. So here the Alter Rebbe is talking about, what about this love that a Beinoni has during prayer? If right after prayer he can start loving other things and he doesn't feel anymore the love to Hashem that he felt during the prayer, then the question is, can we really call that love a true love? And here the Alter Rebbe comes to say that yes. And just to give another introduction to understand this, in the Shema Yisrael we say, "V'ahavta et Hashem Elokecha," you should love your Hashem your God, b'chol levavcha, b'chol nafshecha, b'chol meodecha, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your might. What does it mean, b'chol meodecha? Your might. It means that you should love Him limitless. It should be limitless. So the question is, if you want to say you should love God limitless, then you should say that. Then say that. Say, "V'ahavta et Hashem b'chol me'od." Me'od. Very much. Very much means limitless. But the words the Torah uses is b'chol me'odecha. You're limitless. Meaning that the limitless is something which is relative. Relative to each person and his level. When you reach your potential, when you reach whatever you can go, you go beyond your abilities, then you just broke your limits. When you break your limits, you become limitless. And that is something that is different to each person. And each person himself, it's different than it was when you were a child or when you were an adult. There's things that is expected from you as a child. And as a child, you say, wow, you did so amazing. But if you're going to bring the same results that you were a 5-year-old, when you're 18-year-old, then it's not so much. It's not so amazing anymore. So let's see inside how the Alter Rebbe talks about this concept. Says the Alter Rebbe, "Hine midas ahava zu amura bebeineni b'shas atfilah." Now this aforementioned love attained by the Beinoni, the intermediate person, b'shas atfilah during davening, al yedei izgabrus hanefesh elokis, which is in the time of the prayer, by virtue of that the nefesh elokis, the divine soul, overpowers the animal soul. Hine legabe madregas hatzadikim. If you compare this to the levels of the truly righteous, the tzaddikim, those who we mentioned that they do not have the evil inclination at all, they already eliminated him completely, and they are oivdei Hashem be'emes la'amitoi, and who serve God with a perfect truth, the truest manner of truth. So he says, if you compare this to the tzaddik, ein bechinas avazu nikres b'shem avodas emes klal. This love of the Beinoni compared to the tzaddik it's not called a true service at all. Why? Since it passes and disappears after prayer. Uksiv, and there's a verse that King Solomon says, Sfas emes tikrein lo'ad ve'ad argio l'shoin sheker. Sfas emes, the language of truth. Sfas means also the lip of truth, shall be established forever. But ve'ad argio, but the tongue of falsehood is only momentary. So anything which is not lasting forever, you cannot really call it truth. The question then is, how can you call this love that the Beinoni feels during davening, which disappears after davening? How can you call it true love? Nevertheless, he says, Legabe madregas abeinonim nikres aveda tamo. In relation to the ranks of the Beinoni, this love, this level of love, is considered a truly perfect love, perfect service, be'emes la'amitoy shelahem, because this is in terms of their level of truth. Because for him, it's a perfect service. He just utilized everything what he's able to do. Ish kefi madregas b'madregas habeinonim. Each person relative to his standing in the category of the Beinonim, because in the Beinonim, we mentioned earlier, there are many, many different levels. Some Beinoni have to fight constantly. Some Beinoni are like they're praying all day long and they feel the excitement of Hashem all day long. V'areini koire be'avosam shebetfilasam gamkein tzvas emes tikkun lo'ad. Their love too, which they possess only during prayer, I term the language of truth, which shall be established forever. Why? Why can we call it true service? Why can we call it true love? Why? Because, says the Alter Rebbe, because they are capable, it is right there, and they can constantly work on it immediately to arouse it once again. That's what the Alter Rebbe says, since the divine soul has the power to reawaken this love constantly. To whenever it gathers strength during the prayer, day after day, they can reawaken that love. So since they're capable of reawakening that love, so that's why it's considered a constant thing. Even though that in reality, they don't feel it all day long, nevertheless, because it's there. And they can, as soon as they put their heart and mind to it, they awaken it again, like they do during the prayer. How do we do it? This is by means of spiritual preparation appropriate to each soul's quality and rank, meaning the people on a higher level, they can get the feeling instantly. People who are not in that level, they have to work harder, to meditate, to think, to develop this feeling in the heart. The Rebbe compares it, he says, talking about more in Kabbalistic terms, he says, midas emes imidosoi shel Yaakov. Says the truth is the attribute of Yaakov Avinu, our father Jacob. It says, Titin emes leYaakov, chesed laAvram, give truth to Yaakov. Why is Yaakov called truth? Because, as we said before, truth is something that lasts forever. Truth permeates everything. Yaakov was different than Avraham and Yitzchak in the sense that Avraham, not all of his children followed his ways. The same thing was with Yitzchak. But Yaakov, all of the 12 children, they all followed the ways of Yaakov. And ultimately, this truth of Yaakov remains with us, each and every Jew. And he says, Anikra briach hatichoin amavriach min hakotze el hakotze. And Jacob is called the middle bolt which secures everything from end to end. What are we talking about? The middle bolt is talking about in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle, they had the beams standing. What kept the beams together? There was on the beams there was two bolts on the outside placed in rings, and rings that was connected to the beams, one ring at the top and one ring at the bottom. And there was a piece of wood that put into the beams. That was the bottom and the top. Now in the center of the beam, they drilled a hole through the beam, and there they put in through the beams a one long beam. And as the Gemara says, that this beam also turned miraculously all around the three sides of the Mishkan. So that is called the Bria Chatichen, the center bolt which goes through everything. What is he saying? He's referring to the truth. The ultimate truth is connected with every single level. In each level, there is connected with its ultimate truth. Meruma mailois umadregois atzoif koldagin. So in spiritual terms, this means that the attribute of truth passes from the highest levels until the end of levels, the lowest level. Now in each level, in each gradation and level, it passes through the central point of that particular level. This is the point and quality of that level's attribute of truth. The attribute of truth is an abundant inheritance. Bli mitzara literally means with no limits. This is also connected with Yaakov. It says when God promised Abraham the land of Israel, he told him, I give you the land, that everything that you see. And the same thing to Yitzchak. Hashem said to Yitzchak, I'll give you all of these lands. But when it came to Yaakov, God said to Yaakov, you'll break through to the north, to the east, to the west, to the east, and to the north and to the south. Meaning breaking through all barriers. So that is because truth is something that breaks through, it is constant, it breaks through every level, it goes through every level. So when you have something which is truth, it really breaks through all barriers. It has no upper limits as it extends to the highest levels. It says all of the lower levels are nothing compared with those superior to them. So when you have a level of a person is in a lower level, compared to something which is higher, is like nothing. It is known to the students of Kabbalah, it says the level, the quality that is in the head and the intellect of the lower levels is lower than the levels of the feet and the soles and the feet of those levels that are higher than them. Meaning, usually we say, there is the world the descending of the world is like a chain. When you have a chain, you have rings, you have the upper ring and you have the lower ring. Usually the upper ring, the head of the upper ring is on top of the foot of the upper ring. But here it says, when talking about these levels, it says the head of the lower is lower than the feet of the higher. It's in the spiritual sense, of course. Okay, as sages of blessed memory say, Raglaya Chayis Keneged Kulam, the feet of the Chayis surpass all those levels lower than them. So what is he saying? So here we're talking about regarding the attribute of truth, and it doesn't matter which level you are, when you're connected with the truth, it is the truth that you're reaching the ultimate potential that you have in the level that you're standing. And that same truth goes throughout the levels, even the higher levels as well. So there is the answer to the question we asked. What is the love considered the true love? Yes. If you work on it, and we can say, because the question is really, is it something that is only for a Beinani? What about a person who is not a Beinani, who is wicked? So the truth of the matter is that each person in their level also can have the ability to reveal his or her truth. The difference by the Beinani is that he really doesn't have to work on it. Meaning, it's not that he has to now discover what is the right thing, what is the wrong thing. The Beinani is fully aware and is full control. All he has to do is he has to feel it. And therefore, even the Beinani has many different levels. But once you reveal what you have, being that this is something that by the Beinani, that he can right away access this love and not only act on it, but also feel it. Therefore, by the Beinani, for him is considered ultimate truth. But in essence, this is something that really every person in our own little battle that we have in all different areas, we can also tap into that truth that is in us. And that's why it says that Yaakov is never died, because it's ultimate truth. And where do we see this ultimate truth? Says the Gemara, that we see it in the children. That just like the children are alive, so he too is alive, as we read in this last week's portion. And what does it mean the children are alive? The children are living in the same life that he lived, the life of God. And although, if you look around, you can see many Jews who do not seem to be living that life. But the truth is that deep inside of them, they do have that ultimate truth. We just need to reveal it. So the Beinani is, as we'll learn tomorrow, something that each and every one should work on to reach that level. But until we get there, we got to win our little battles in each area. And those little battles are accumulative. We accumulate to one big victory, and that victory will ultimately bring us the revelation of Mashiach. So, thank you so much for joining today. And please share, subscribe, make sure other people benefit this light of the teachings of the Alter Rebbe. Any questions? Now is the time.